Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Last night we completed a major portion of Surah At-Tawbah, and one of the main things in Surah At-Tawbah is the constant mentioning of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. Surah At-Tawbah was one of the last surahs to be revealed, so the exposure of the hypocrites was essential so that they could be differentiated between the believers. There should be a difference between the believers and the non-believers before the Prophet ﷺ left this world. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah At-Tawbah mentions the hypocrites again and again, their qualities, what they were doing, and their plans, their plots, and so on. Today I'm going to be talking about some verses about a person whose name was Tha'labah ibn Haatib. Tha'labah ibn Haatib, and other scholars have given other names like Jadd ibn Qais or Haatib and so on. The story goes that this person, Tha'labah, came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "O Prophet of Allah, make dua that I become wealthy. Make dua that I become wealthy." The question is that, why would he make this kind of commitment with the Prophet ﷺ? The commitment was that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes me wealthy, then I would fulfill all of the rights of the wealth. And Allah says, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهَ لَإِنْ آتَانَا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ لَنَصَّدَّقَنَّ وَلَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. There are, from amongst the munafiqeen, there are some people that make a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how would a munafiq, and why would a munafiq make a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There are two answers to this question. One is that just like the munafiqeen used to make it a habit to come for salat, not because they wanted to, but because if they didn't come for salat, they would get exposed. So this commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was just for show. It was just for show, and he never really meant it. And the other answer is that he was just testing out the Prophet of Allah, that if he's a prophet, then he would be able to fulfill what I'm asking him. If he makes dua, then the dua from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be accepted. So he was just basically testing the Prophet. So these are the answers that the Mufassirin have given about the person making a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was approached by this person Tha'labah and asked for this dua, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ya Tha'labah, qalilun tuaddi shukrahu khayrun min kathirin la tutiqu." So a small amount that you're given and you are grateful to it, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is better than a great amount that you cannot handle. But he persisted. And the Prophet ﷺ on another occasion told him that why don't you become like the Prophet of Allah, or don't you wish to be like the Prophet of Allah? And he went on to say that if I wanted these mountains around me, I could have them turned into gold and silver, and they would go along with me, and I would give them in charity and so on. But I prefer myself, the Prophet ﷺ said, I prefer to remain in a state of poverty rather than in a state of richness. So after this person pushed the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ raised his hands and made dua for him and said, "O Allah, give Tha'labah wealth." So Tha'labah, he started off with a few goats, a few sheep, and they started growing. And the riwayat say that they grew like dood. Dood means worms or insects. Basically, they just started spreading and growing like insects. So much so that Medina was not enough for him. There was no space in Medina to basically keep his sheep and goats. So he had to leave and live on the outskirts of Medina. When he lived on the outskirts of Medina, he started coming less and less for salat. The riwayat say that he came for Dhuhr and Asr only. After coming for 5 salats, he started coming for Dhuhr and Asr only. And then the flock got bigger and bigger. He had to move even further away. And when he moved further away, he then only started coming for Jumu'ah prayer. And still it continued to grow. So in any case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the course of this a verse, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرْهُمْ. Take from their wealth sadaqah that purifies them. So the Prophet ﷺ sent a group of people to collect this sadaqah. And in the case of Tha'labah, he sent a couple of men, and he said, go to another person from Bani Salim or Sulaim and Tha'labah and collect the sadaqah or the zakat that is due from their flock or their animals. So they first approached Tha'labah and they told him that this is what the Prophet ﷺ sent us with, this is the order that the Prophet ﷺ sent us with. And he basically told them that it looks like this is a form of jizya. Jizya is basically the tax that is imposed upon non-Muslims for living under Islamic rule. A minimal tax, but he started complaining. Then he said, go collect your sadaqah from the other places and then come back and I'll give it to you. So they went to the Sulami, and that person, when he knew that this was the order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he went into his flock and he picked the choicest of the camels and he gave them so that they could be taken for the Baytul Mal. They came back to Tha'labah, and Tha'labah then insisted, okay, show me the letter from the Prophet. He read it and then he complained again, and he said this is a form of jizya, and he outright refused to give any sadaqah to the Baytul Mal. They went back, and when they approached the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ knew immediately what had happened, and he said, oh Tha'labah, wayhak ya Tha'labah, you didn't listen to me. And then one of the relatives of Tha'labah was waiting and listening on the side, and he came running to Tha'labah and said, this is what happened. The Prophet ﷺ is so upset with you, and it's better that you do what you're supposed to do. So he brought their animals. He kind of got worried. He brought the animals and he tried to give them in charity. The Prophet ﷺ refused to take them. And the rest of his life, he tried and tried again. The Prophet ﷺ continued to refuse. Then the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala came, and Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala refused to take from him. Then the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala came. Umar radiallahu ta'ala refused to take anything from him. The time of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala came, and Uthman radiallahu ta'ala refused to take any sadaqah from him. He continued and tried. Nobody took anything from him until he died in the time of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. So the point from the story is really that first of all, we should never assume that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for me, or the fact that I have difficulty in my life in terms of the provisions that I have, a person should not feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not taking care of me. There are reasons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives wealth to some people and He doesn't give wealth to others. He realizes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that some people, they do not have the ability to handle wealth. And once they get the wealth, they will use it in ways which are against the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they may use it in ways that are inappropriate. Look at these, pop stars, okay, that seem so innocent, on one day, and then they start getting riches and getting the albums sold and so on, and all of a sudden they start doing crazy things, taking drugs and racing speedy cars in streets, doing things which a normal person thinks that are completely out of, unnatural for a young man or a young girl to be doing. So this is because of the fact that they are getting this wealth and fame that they cannot handle, and they are basically acting out because of the fact that they cannot handle that kind of responsibility that comes with the wealth and the position that they've been given. So this is the first thing. A person should never assume that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made me poor, or I'm basically having difficulty with my wealth, or I'm not rich. A person should think be grateful for what Allah has given, because Allah knows better what is better for me. And the other thing is that if we make a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that commitment needs to be fulfilled. This is called nadhr in Arabic, and in Urdu we call it mannat manna. If a person makes a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is tantamount to making an oath, a qasam. So if a person, for example, says, if I pass my exam, I promise to give $100 in charity. He makes this commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once the exam has been passed, that nadhr has to be given. If it's nadhr muayyan means that it has to be, he said that I'd get it, within a week, I will give that $100 in charity. Then, and if he doesn't do it in a week, then the kafara of yameen applies. Basically, a person needs to give kafara of breaking an oath because he didn't do it on time. And if it's nadhr ghayr mu'ayyan, it can be done at any time, it still needs to be fulfilled. So this is the importance of making commitments with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's something that needs to be fulfilled. This person made a commitment, but he didn't go through with it, and this was the result. I'll just go through the verses inshallah, and we will, we've already heard the story, we will understand from the translation inshallah. وَمِنْهُمْ, there are from them, meaning from the munafiqeen, مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهَ, who made ahd with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who made a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَإِنْ آتَانَا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, if he gives us from his fadl, from his wealth. Remember, the wealth has been called fadl throughout the Quran. Many people assume that wealth by itself is evil or it's bad. No, it's not evil. If it's earned in a halal way and the rights of the wealth are being fulfilled, then it is a fadl, it is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this person says, لَإِنْ آتَانَا مِنْ فَضْلِ, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me from his fadl, لَنَصَّدَّقَنَّ وَلَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. There's a lot of emphasis here, there's a lot of stress. Most certainly I'll give sadaqah. For sure I'm going to give sadaqah. And most certainly, for sure, I'm going to be from the salihin, from the pious people. فَلَمَّا آتَاهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ بَخِلُوا بِهِ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him from his fadl, he becomes stingy with it. وَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ, and he turns his back to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet. So he turns away, he doesn't want to fulfill that commitment that he made, that pledge that he made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ نِفَاقًا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ يَلْقَوْنَهُ بِمَا أَخْلَفُ اللَّهَ مَا وَعَدُوهُ وَبِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala follows them up with hypocrisy, meaning that they were already hypocrites, but this emphasized and fortified this hypocrisy that was already there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts more hypocrisy in their hearts and they become stronger in their hypocrisy. فَعَاقَبَهُمْ نِفَاقًا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, in their hearts, إِلَى يَوْمِ يَلْقَوْنَ, until the day that they meet him, بِمَا أَخْلَفُ اللَّهَ مَا وَعَدُوهُ, because of the fact that they went against what they had promised him, وَبِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ, and because of the fact that they were lying. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ سِرَّهُمْ وَنَجْوَاهُمْ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ. Do they not realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows their secrets and their discussion, وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ, and the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is knowing of the unseen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the unseen, meaning what is in their hearts and what their intention was. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully aware of it. So these are the lessons we learn from these verses. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the wealth, we should fulfill the commitments that we have, the zakat and the sadaqat. If we don't have the wealth, we should be grateful and understand that maybe it's some wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind it. If we make commitments to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should fulfill those commitments. And if we cannot fulfill those commitments, then there are kafarat that need to be fulfilled because of that. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to understand and practice what has been said and heard.